Good morning. Not this one. This is Math 1. We're talking about standard deviation today, and it is the 13th of January, 2020. Not this lesson. That guy right there. Is that a Komodo dragon? Yep. What is our learning goal, Maddie? What is our learning goal, Mr. Fisher? What's our learning goal, Gavin Wamsley?
I can use statistics to help understand the world around.
Excellent. And how about the why? Gavin Frisk.
More complex statistical methods are used in engineering, finance, and medicine. I want to understand statistics we use in real life.
Excellent. The world is going to lie to you, and it's going to use statistics to lie to you. We've already talked about mean, median, and how those values can be used or skewed. Skewed meaning how to make them look like one thing when they're really saying something else. So imagine a company, and I tell you, the average salary at this company is $100 an hour. That sounds really good, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this company, the average salary is $100 an hour. Well, let me show you the salaries. There are 5 employees. They make $100 an hour. That's company A. Let me show you company B. The average salary is $100 an hour.
Boy, guy's making a lot of money.
So, when I just come out here and I say, hey, the average salary is $100 an hour, it can mean 2 totally different things, can't it? And this is how statistics are used to skew things and make things look weird. So we need other statistical methods that can kind of tease out this weirdness and really give us more information. And one of those things is called the standard deviation. And what it's going to do is help us discover what's going on with the data and give us a little bit more clarity and insight. So imagine that 2 classes took a quiz. There are 10 students in each class, and each class had an average of 81.5. As you've seen up here, the average all by itself can mean different things. I mean, it's the average, but that doesn't mean those 2 classes are just identical 2 classes. I'm going to actually show you the data for the 2 classes. Okay, so we can't assume that these 2 classes have the same understanding. Even though they have the same averages, we can't just assume that they're all both about the same. The average does not tell us anything about the distribution or variation in the grades. Distribution meaning it doesn't tell us how the grades are spread out. Maybe one class, everybody got an 81.5. And maybe the other class, either you did excellent or you failed. Yeah? So the mean or average doesn't tell us that much. So here are the dot plots. So what this is telling me, is that about I can't read that. Tell me that. Is that a 70? So I got a 70, is that an 80, whatever. Here are a couple. This means I have 2 kids who got an 80. So here's class A, and here's class B. See how spread out this one is? And you see how this one's grouped? The standard deviation is going to tell us, is it really spread out or is it really well grouped? That's what it does. A small standard deviation means the data is really, really tightly grouped. A big standard deviation means the data is really, really spread out. So we need to come up with a way of measuring not just the average, but also the spread of the distribution. And that's the standard deviation. It's a number that measures how far away each number in a set of data is from their mean. So it tells us kind of how spread out the data is. If the standard deviation is large, it means the numbers are really spread out. If the standard deviation is small, it means the numbers are really close in. This is a big process. You're going to do it by hand. When you use it for real in life, you'll do it all with a computer. You're going to learn how it works by hand today. When I worked for Boeing, a huge chunk of my job was focused around standard deviations. And what it was really looking at was looking at how long it took a part to go through a piece of the factory. And the idea is, when a part comes into this part of the factory, we would measure how long it was in there. And what we wanted is we wanted every part to be coming through at about the same, maybe it took a day at that. So maybe there are parts coming to Nico, and Nico's cranking out a part every hour, and I'm timing that, okay? Every hour. His standard deviation is really, really small. But now, his standard deviation starts getting bigger. That means, it takes him an hour, takes him 2 hours, takes him 30 minutes, takes him 5 hours, takes him 20 minutes. His standard deviation gets big, so I come over, now I can figure out, I'm not mad at Nico, but I look at Nico's area and going, hey, what's going on in this area that we're getting all over the place with our data? Standard deviations. I wrote software that calculated standard deviations, and we would analyze data that way. This is a real thing. Okay, in your notebook, using the lines of your paper, we're going to make a big table. Data. And now down under this, using the lines of your paper, give me those 10 values. Can you read them to me, Jordan? 72?
72, 76, 80, 80, 81, 83, 84, 85.
Go so fast. 81, 83, 84. Okay.
85, 85.
2 85s?
Mm-hmm.
Am I done?
And 89.
89?
Mm-hmm.
Find the mean of that data. The average of that data, the mean of that data. Find me using your calculator, find me the mean of that data. Chris, there you go, Chris. Get that calculator out. Now, what did you get for an average on that, anybody?
81.5.
81.5. Okay. So that's our mean. I want you to write down 81.5 10 times.
Do we need to space them out like that?
You're spacing them out. It's just using the paper like this.
Oh, okay.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
I think we're going to need probably a total of 4 or 5 columns. 4. Mean, deviation. Deviation. What does it mean in any context? Jackson.
How, wait.
JJ?
Maybe some way of dividing it.
So you think of the word division?
Yeah.
It's not. It's a different word. Deviation. What is it? You're thinking in terms of math. Give it to me. You've never used this term in math before. Deviate. Deviation. Look it up. Get out of math. Get into English. Get into reading books.
The action of departing. What? The action of departing?
The action of departing.
The amount by which a single measurement differs from a fixed value, such as the mean.
Okay, you're still in math. Can't find it in
The
a.
noun is the action of departing from established course or acceptance.
So a deviation, if this is my path, if I am on a path, I am on the path. If I start going off the path, what am I doing? I am deviating. If we have a plan, and I'm going along with the plan, and then suddenly I go off the plan, I am deviating from the plan. Sometimes societies have a set standard of behavior, and when you don't use that behavior, we call people a deviant. That you're going off the standard behavior. It's
Is that
called
really a bad
deviant.
thing?
Google deviant behavior. Don't Google it. I'm scared of what's going to come up. So the idea is to deviate is to get off of the path, off of the middle. So the deviation right here is how far is this number from that number. It's a subtraction problem. What we're looking at is the difference between the value and the mean. Now, it doesn't matter if it comes up positive or negative. You'll see why in the next step. This has a deviation of negative 9.5. Or positive. I don't care about the positive thing. 81.5 minus 72.
Why would that
Or
be
would it be
negative?
72 minus?
Because this is lower than the average.
So you subtract
If-
that by
so-
the mean.
If it's above the average, it would be positive. If it's below the average, it's a negative. This is 9.5
Oh, wait,
less than the middle. Okay, do this 9 more times.
You forgot the negatives.
And what I'm telling you is it's not going to matter if I'm positive or negative. You're going to see in the next step, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So if you want to keep track of positive and negatives, that's fine, but it's not going to matter because of the next step. JJ,
You made a mistake on the 285.
I don't make any mistakes.
Oh, okay.
3.5. This one should be a 3.5, right?
Yeah.
No mistakes.
No.
Now, we're going to take each deviation and we're going to square it. Not a square root yet. We're going to go deviation. This is your next column. Deviation squared. So using a calculator, I need to know what 9.5 squared is, and we'll take it to 2 decimal places. And Mr. Fisher is going to get that for me.
I can't find the square one, so.
How about do 9.5?
Actually, no, it's 90.25.
Do that 10 more or 9 more times. 90.25. Square each number.
What was I listening
It's a phone message.
to? Oh.
So my phone message is from my home phone or sent from my email. It sounds like Abby's got a dentist appointment tomorrow. A whole bunch of squares. Notice when you square a number, everything's positive. That's why I don't have to keep track of the negatives. Because the negative squared is going to be a positive squared is going to be a positive. So I go through and I find all the deviations squared. Now, you need to find the mean of the deviations squared. Add up all the deviations squared and divide by 10. So what is this value?
Am I at 18.75?
18.75?
21.5.
I think 21.45? I've got it as 21 point something. So
I got 21.45.
21.45.
Does it need to be squared?
No. This is not the standard deviation. We're not done yet.
Wait,
This number right here is called the variance.
The deviation.
This is the variance.
The variance.
The variance. This is the variance. Or, ready? Take a letter B, put it on its side, and square it. This is called sigma squared. This is the variance, or sigma squared.
I feel smart
Why
now.
does
Now we
it
can
look
like,
like
It's like hieroglyphs.
forward sign. Yeah, hieroglyphs.
Now,
Hieroglyphs.
sigma,
I feel like that'd be your game sign if you were in a math game.
Okay.
sigma is actually the standard deviation. So what I want, right now I have the standard deviation squared. I have sigma squared, but I don't want sigma squared, I want sigma. I want the standard deviation. So how do I get sigma? I take the square root of it. So our final step, ready? Take the square root of the variance.
460.1 over 4,000.
I got 4.6.
I don't know how to do that. Oh, I do actually.
Wait, so this is the variance of 1.5.
So the variance is 21.5. If you take the square root of that, you're going to get the standard deviation, which should be approximate 4 point something.
6.63.
This is too long of a process.
I don't think I can
Dude, I don't know how to do the square root.
That was because you squared it.
I got four.
Yeah,
Let's
just
do
do
this
this
root.
root.
See, that's what you have to click. You have to click second. And then,
Where's the squared one? You're insane. Where's the squared one?
yeah, this.
Wait, you don't have a square root button?
I do. But then, oh, I
So
can't.
then you press second.
Yeah,
And then you go back.
14471.
What?
You put it in.
Oh yeah, you put it in first.
Okay, because I forgot I had answers.
Syntax error.
Aggressive. Dude, freaking from our games, all I hear is like the softball players like, I'm just like, oh my god.
The second one is.
All that work just to be erased. I wonder how
That would be
many
the gang
miles
sign
of marker
for
that
math gang.
eraser has erased.
Oh man, from
Mr.
here to the
Barr.
moon and back.
Wait, Mr. Barr, I found if you were in a math gang, this could be your gang sign.
Nice, that is nice. Sigma, like this? Well, yeah, that's it. Sigma.
He's helping me find out how to do this.
Right, so here's a flow map.
Sigma.
Here's how I do this. I find the mean.
Are we ready?
I would write it.
Alright.
Find deviations.
Watch me, I'm just gonna forget this one.
Yep.
Square deviations. Find mean of the deviation squared.
Pretty sure one gives you a 30 smart
Find the mean of deviation. This is the variance.
Sigma squared.
Why is it
Sigma.
Sigma?
It's a Greek letter.
I was right. What's
So different alphabets in different languages.
what?
Even the alphabet in Spanish has different letters in it.
Wait, they do?
Wait, they're the same letters, but just different.
There are a couple, no, there are some things,
Weird marks or something.
like Inye.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the end.
Have you ever seen the app?
You know it's impossible to create another letter?
That's
Oh,
a,
I thought you just add that on to the regular.
no, this, if you look up the Spanish alphabet,
So like all the words with like a little,
They've got it-
sign over it is a different word than the actual.
it's a different letter.
Bro, I was out here thinking they just put squiggly marks over their letters.
And in some European letters, you have an umlaut, which is,
Alphabet.
Oh, that's the
yeah.
screaming thing.
I want to see that.
Wait, that
like
I got a book that had one of their names.
Look at the app now.
That's
Yes.
an orange or something.
Oh, that's weird. There's two N's.
Mm-hmm.
This is the app.
The African?
in, what we're using right here is a piece of the Greek alphabet, and this is a lowercase sigma.
What's it uppercase?
Uppercase sigma,
Big B. Wait,
Yeah.
wouldn't that mess it up?
Oh,
Or
yeah, I remember that sign.
wouldn't that just
Ours
mess
is
the
just bigger.
meaning up, or is it just a letter?
They all want
Like,
when we're doing standard deviations, we use a lowercase sigma. It's
German alphabet.
the way it is. And then finally,
Oh, the German alphabet is just
oh, that's rare.
What about the caveman alphabet?
okay, Gordon, get back with me. No, just tell me what it is. We're gonna do one. Notes. You guys are still taking notes. Right, we're gonna do one more in the notes. It'll be a smaller data set though. We're gonna use 5 numbers. I realize you're gonna wanna try to figure out shortcuts. You're welcome to, but you've gotta get to at least a 50 on this. It's gonna be faster just to do it like this and get them right. Okay, what's my first number? 859? 78? Okay, find me my average of those.
Will they be small? Like,
They'll get bigger as you go along. This is going to be a 20-minute type of thing, but you got to get to at least a 50 on it. What'd you get there, Gavin? That's not a good average.
Oh, wait, I didn't divide it.
Divided by 5.
7.5. Oh, yeah.
7.4.
7.4?
Is it 7.5?
Does it terminate?
Yes.
Okay, 7.4. You can do whatever you like, but it's going to be faster just to do the math than to try to game it somehow. So you're going to keep track of all these deviations we're about to find. This 0.6, this, what's that? 7. Is that 2 point?
That's 2.4, yeah, negative.
And down. 1.6.
Is this gonna be on the test we take?
That's a great question.
The quiz for this, you know what I mean? That'd be 0.4 too. Oh wait, no, it wouldn't.
You're both
Sorry.
0.6. Am I wrong?
Mm-mm. All right.
All right, I found the mean, I found the deviations. After I do that,
Deviation squared.
deviation squared. Definitely gonna need a calculator here. Oh, what am I doing here? Okay. They're all my squares.
Now we can do the mean less.
Forget it's 1.84. You guys check my answer.
Yep.
Yeah,
1.84.
we gotta do.
But notice what it's asking for. What is this number?
It's our variance.
It's a variance. What does the question want?
The variant.
The variance. Variance or sigma squared, which is variance. So we're done with the question. We don't have to take the square root. So you got to read it. Is asking for the standard deviation, sigma, or sigma squared, which is the variance. Also recognize round it to the nearest tenth. 1.8
Oh, so sigma squared
is variance.
sigma.
Is because when I take the square root of sigma squared, I get sigma. 1.8.
One.
Yeah. Come on.
Let's get the
Tell
dub.
me I'm brilliant.
Fantastic. How much marks squared?
Please, momentarily, I'd like you to get into edutastic. Edulastic. Should be edutastic.
Which one is nice? I had blue. That I was like, what are you doing? And the next day.
Wait, how?
It's been something's happening. Will you look at me? When I first set up Edulastic, I set it up with Math 8 and Math 1. What I've done this morning is I'm breaking it into periods because that's easier for me to manage. I'm going to give you a class code for period 4. So can you get to the place where it says join a class? And I'm going to give you a class code. The class code is N,
Is it capital?
does not matter, X, E, U, 6. And it's a minute, that's it, sorry, it's a minute. You should see Hamilton's face.
Yeah.
There are two things posted in Edulastic. One technically is the practice test. The other one technically is the pre-test. You do not have to do them, but they are there for you if you want to start your studying process earlier. On, I guess, Wednesday, I will delete both of these, and I will put in the actual homework that you have to do to study for the test. This is just, if you wanted to start earlier, you've got them right there, start earlier. Do them, don't do them. I'll delete them in a couple days, and I'll put up the real homework assignments. And the real homework assignment on Wednesday night will be to do the pre-test and the practice test.
So we have a test this Thursday?
You have a test on Thursday. Wednesday night's homework will be to do the pre-test and the practice test.
Okay.
Both.
It's not just practice.
Now that it's online,
Yeah.
I'm going to force you to do them both. And if you choose not to, that's fine. But I think by forcing it, I'm going to get better test scores out of you guys. Cool? We'll get into the swing of it. It's okay.
Where's the jar?
All right. You can start on the homework.